Howdy folks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, be sure and hit that subscribe button so that you'll get more videos like this in your home feed. Today we're gonna continue working on the Life is Better with a Dog album, and we're using the My Dog Collection Kit by Echo Park. Today what we're gonna work on is assembling the first couple of fins. I'm going to do things a little bit different with this album than I have from previous albums. I'm going to assemble the bases of the pages first, and then I'm going to go back and add the matting and the embellishments. So this is going to be, I think, depending on the length of the video, fin number 1 and fin number 2. So that'll be pages 1 through 8. The design for page number 1 is going to be a gusseted flap over a waterfall. A lot of the page designs for this album are going to be very similar to my Cats album. The base page for this album is 5.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall, and we're going to score the short side, the 5.5 inch side. I'm not sure if this is, yeah, that page is not square. Interesting. So let me retrim this. That looks much better. All right, so we're going to score, this is the base page, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And we've got a 7-piece waterfall. These are 3.5 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And we're going to score the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch. So the final waterfall, once it's all assembled, is going to be 3.5 by 4.5, which will be perfect for 3x4 photos. And if you want to put a mat underneath them, you'll have enough room for a 1/4 inch mat all the way around. So you could do a 3.25 by 4.25 mat and still have plenty of room. Now the base page is 110-pound cardstock. These sheets are all 65-pound cardstock. And this is a pocket that's going to go on the inside of one of the flaps. I'm going to score 2 of the sides, and then I'm going to leave the 3rd side and manually mark it and score it after I've dry fit it, because I have a feeling that I'm going to need to trim up the flap a little bit. So it is 6.5 inches wide. We're going to score that at 1/2 inch. And 3.5 inches tall. We're also going to score that at 1/2 inch. And then we'll come back and make the 3rd score after we've fitted everything. What am I doing? I still need to score. This is the flap, and it is 10 3/4 inches long or wide by 8.5 inches tall. And we're going to score this at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 5 3/4 inches. All right, just looking at this, I'm going to need to trim this up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to trim about 1/16 of an inch off the edge. So I'm kind of eyeballing halfway between the 1/8 inch marks. And that trimmed crooked. There we go. Next thing to do is going to be to dry fit the pocket. I'm just going to crease that real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a shallow miter on this corner because it's going to be shallow mitered anyway. This pocket is going on this piece here, so I'm going to line it up just inside the crease. And then I'm going to Now I'm going to grab a pencil, one that's actually sharpened. Here we go. And wow, the measurements are really off here, so I'm going to need to trim this up. It might be hard to see against the black, but I can see the pencil mark on here pretty clearly. And I'm actually going to cut 1/2 inch off this, so the actual measurements of the pocket are 6 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And I can see the pencil mark is right here, so I'm going to line that up with any of these score marks here. Make sure that the top edge is flush against the side here, and score. And that is actually a little bit wider than 1/2 inch. So if I had scored that at 1/2 inch from the edge, it actually would have been a little too wide for that flap. Okay, so this flap is actually going to be positioned, just kind of laying it out here so to make sure that I glue everything down in the right place. Start by adding just a little dollop of glue to the outside of the side tabs on the pocket. And then I'm going to glue the bottom tab to the back of the side tabs. It doesn't eliminate the different inserts that you put in the pocket catching on the bottom. In order to do that, you'll need to mount or attach all the tabs to the back of the matting, whatever you mat it with. Since we're going to do that after the fact, we're not going to be able to do that at this point in the process. So now we're going to glue the pocket down. But gluing the bottom tab to the back of the side tabs does help reduce how much your inserts catch. So I'm just making sure that I don't overlap the score line here. And I'm going to use 1/4 inch double-sided tape here. And I'm going to have all the supplies for the entire album listed in the description box down below. You might not see all the supplies in use in today's video. But what I usually do is I take a list of the supplies that I used in the book and put it in a Word document. And then just copy and paste into the description box. I'm going to position the waterfall quickly on here, just without any adhesive, just to make sure everything is going to fit. When I did the measurements in my head, it all fit, but you know, sometimes what I measure in my head isn't what ends up being on the page. I'm going to need to be able to adjust these, so instead of using double-sided tape, I'm going to use glue so that I can shift them around. And you know what? Before I add these, I do need to mat this page before I add these. So let me grab some pattern paper. Which one do I want to use? You know what? I've already got this one. I've already cut into it. So let's go with this one. Forgot about that unusable 1/2 inch, so I need to take a 1/2 inch off of this. It needs to be 4 3/4. Alright, we're on to page number 4. These 2 pieces are going to, when it's all said and done, be a type of buckle. And they are 1.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches long. And I'm going to score the long edge at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch on both of them. And these are 65-pound cardstock. And we've got 3 flaps, also 65-pound cardstock. They're 4.5 inches wide by 7 inches tall, and we're going to score the 1/2 inch side at, or the 7-inch side at 1/2 inch for all 3 of these. And these are going to be an accordion. And these are all going to mount to a band, and the band is 6 inches wide, which we're going to score the 6th inch side at 1/2 inch. And 5.5 inches. And the 5.5 inch score line on this is such a challenge. If you have this scoreboard, you understand what I mean. Let me double check the fit. It's going to fit on this flap here. I just want to make sure that it's not going to overhang anything. It's going to score this flap at 1/2 inch. This flap is the same size as the base page. It's 5.5 by 8.5. All right, we're going to attach the buckle first. Dry fit these and make sure that they are going to have enough overlap. Yep, they're going to have about 1 inch of overlap, which is plenty of space to get a magnet in there and get the matting to cover the magnet. We're not really going to have any weight on these. They're just going to hold everything closed. And the idea is to make them look like a dog collar. So I'm going to figure out a way to do something that looks like a buckle. And I think I'm going to look at the Christmas album that I did with Dress My Craft brand. I think it was Jingle Bells, something like that. So I'm eyeballing the center here and pressing that down. I'm going to keep that aligned right there. Gosh, it's hard to see. I'm tempted to put a piece of white paper underneath just to, nope, I don't want it down that far. add these flaps, and it doesn't really matter which side I add this to. Start up here. Just don't want to overlap that score mark right there, or the one down here, which it looks like I'm going to, so I'm going to have to trim that up a little bit. I wonder if I could pry that up and move that up a little bit. It's going to be under a bunch of matting and stuff, so I'm not too concerned about if it's a little bit damaged. I've got it to where the score line is just a little bit above, probably a 32nd of an inch above the edge of the band here. It should, of course it's crooked now. Sorry if y'all can hear the cat. She's thinking that she is not getting enough attention, and I promise she is fixed, even though she sounds like a cat in heat right now. Her name is Opal, and she is 17 or 18 years old. She sounds very pathetic, very pitiful right now. But sometimes in the middle of the day, she'll just decide to start making that noise, and it sounds like somebody is beating her to death or something. I don't know. And this is the tricky part, is getting this all where it lines up correctly without over it. And this is why I use glue, because I'm going to have to pry this up and do this again. And I think it might be easier to do it this way, because I want to try to get it where it's even with the other flap without overlapping and interfering with the closure of the buckle. Alright, the next step is going to be to mount this to the flap. I'm going to go ahead and crease this so that I can see where the score line is going to be, and so I don't accidentally cover up the score line. We don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the bottom, because this is going to be a pocket. Alright, time to mount the flap to the base page and then add the pocket. And we're going to score this 5.5 by 8.5 inch base page at 1/2 inch. Before we put the pocket on the base page, we're going to mount the flap. I want to make sure that I mount it right side up. So this is going to be the binding side. This is going to be the free edge. And I didn't size it up, but it should be the same, because, yep, that's good. So we're going to glue this to the free edge of the base page. And then while that's drying, we're going to get the pocket ready. Pocket is 6 inches wide. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. by 3.5 inches tall, which we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and put a shallow miter on this corner and then dry fit it, mark it, score the 3rd line. So we're going to line it up just inside the score mark where the flap is attached. And I'm going to mark a spot just inside the score line of the base page. I'll line that up with any old score line on the scoreboard, because it's not necessarily at 1/2 inch. Now I think we're going to go ahead and add magnets. Alright, that's going to have to be page number 5 because I mounted all of that upside down, even after all the effort I went to not do that. So we're going to start, this is actually going to be page number 4. Now watch, I say that, and I'm going to mount this one upside down too, and we're going to have to make this one page number 9. It's just going to be a pocket with a pretty good sized folio in it. So, what are the measurements on this? I don't need the trimmer, I need scoreboard. Six inches wide by 4 inches tall. So a little bit taller pocket than the ones we've been doing. I'm going to score the first 2 sides at 1/2 inch. I designed these 2 pages so that they would work pretty well together, hopefully not catch on anything. So that's always a concern when you've got little bits and pieces that you're using for the closure. One of the problems with getting so much glue on there, not only does it get all over the place, it also, you run the risk of gluing the pocket bottom together if it was to overflow. And this is the folio that's going to go inside the pocket of what is now page number 4. And it's 2 pieces. This piece is 8.5 by 4.5, and this one is 8x4. So we're going to take the longer piece and we're going to score the long edge at 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take some double-sided tape. This is going to be a top folding folio. Most folios are side folding. This one's going to be a little different. And if I wanted to, I could actually just slide one edge in here, and now it's kind of like a little flap. Or you tuck it all the way in and it's a folio. All right, on to page number 8. And it's gonna be very similar to what ended up being page number 5. So I'm gonna start with what's gonna end up being the band. We're gonna rotate things a little bit though. So this piece measures 6 inches by 7 inches. We're gonna score at 1/2 inch. And it's going to mount on this flap here, which is 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. Great. I'm going to mark where the 3rd score mark needs to be, right at the edge of the paper there. And line that up and score. And as with the other page, we're going to have buckles, or at least something that ends up looking like a buckle for the closure. So these pieces are going to be the buckle closure, and they are 1.5 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches long, and we're going to score that at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And we've got 2 of those, but instead of being top to bottom, these are going to go side to side. So let's go ahead and get these attached to our pocket here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the pocket, at least these corners. That way we're just working with the pocket, and it's all, you know, for the most part assembled. It'll be easier to get everything placed correctly. Just a little past the edge here. Give myself a little bit more room. All right, that's that. And there's also going to be a couple of flaps. And see, I think these are going to go side to side, and they are 5 inch. This one is 5 by 6.5, and we're going to score the 5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And this one is 6.5 inches tall, but is 9.5 inches wide. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. And 5 inches. So we should have 2 4.5 inch sections. I'm also going to align the bottom edge with the bottom of the pocket. If it overhangs a little bit at the top, I can always trim that. It does overlap a little bit, so we're going to trim just a hair off the top. Go ahead and score the base page at 1/2 inch on the short edge. And I think we have a completely different cat over there sneezing. Need to worry about the measurements for this. They should both be right at 8.5. Because when I trimmed them out, I basically just took an 8.5 by 11 and cut it in half. That's good. Now for the next part, I need to mat this because we're going to put another waterfall in. I'm debating whether to put magnets down, but I don't think I can get. In fact, I'm quite certain that I wouldn't be able to get a strong enough connection between magnets through a waterfall. I could probably put a magnet on the top waterfall piece. That might work. Right, now we're ready to put this one in the album. Yep, I've assembled that page right side up, so we are good to go. Right, that's it for this video. Be sure to come back next video. We're going to do fins 3 and 4.